Hey, and welcome to the Chromeworks studio. I'm Andrew Tomec, your technology teacher, and it seems like a very lonely place in the studio today. I'm just trying this little summer experiment where I'm doing a little bit of live coding Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, but it's not looking very busy here in TV land. I'm joined on stage by my friend Gamer Davey, who's here today. Good morning, Davey. Are you there?
Yep.
Hey, so I don't see anyone else online right now, and that's fine. I can just keep working on this stuff. Did you watch my stream yesterday, Davey?
No.
No,
Sorry.
you didn't. So I'm going to give you a little review of what we worked on yesterday, and maybe you can help me to build up this cool project that we're working on. Even if nobody else is watching, I just thought I would just stream this out and see who's interested in it. If you want to see more of these, please leave a comment to anybody who's watching this on YouTube and drop in and say hi, and I'll give you a shout out. But otherwise, it's just going to be me and Davey coding today, I think. Davey, did you get your T-shirt yet?
Yep. I did.
Yes, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Does it fit?
It's a bit big.
Good, good. Congratulations. That's wonderful. Okay, so Davey, I'm going to show you what we've been working on. I'm going to give you a link as well. So this is this is a device called the Infinity Machine. It's based, and I'm sharing it to you in the Ask Mr. T. Oh, and Jaren's here today as well. Good morning, Jaren.
Hello.
All right. So Davey's just joining us today. I'm just going to show him the project that we're working on here. I've just linked it in there. It's called the Infinity Machine. Let's get over to my main screen here. So the Infinity Machine is a Scratch project made for creating Rube Goldberg devices. If you guys need a reminder about what Rube Goldberg devices are, they're crazy contraptions, weird machines that do something incredibly complicated to perform something simple. Like it might be something like making a cup of coffee by having a mouse run into a cage which runs on a conveyor belt, which hits a boot, which makes it slam into a ball, which makes the ball bounce and makes this happen and that happen, just like that, basically. And so I've developed this thing with a little bit of help from Jeffrey, where we can actually compose these things and create them from scratch. So I've done a little bit of work on the code overnight to make it a little bit better. I've added an infinite backdrop for one thing. Let me show you what's going on here. I'll click the green flag, and you can see it's waiting for me to click the start button. Now I just have generic objects in here right now, so let's click start, and you can see it working. So I've got an object here, and it just moves and moves and moves across the screen. You can see my background in here now. So I've created the same object 3 times basically, and now we can just start coding it inside our coding screen here. So if I go into the object that's called object, strangely enough. Oh, my magnifier is not working. Let me just turn my magnifier on so I can get the screen zoomed on. All right, is that working now? There we go. Okay. So I've got my object sprite here, and it's got a bunch of other sprites in it. You can basically add whatever sprites you want, but I've created a bunch of generic ones here that you might want to use in your machine. So let's say we wanted to have a hammer be our first object here. I'm going to click on the hammer, and I'm just going to make a duplicate of this object just so that I don't mess up the original one. So I'm going to leave this one that's called object. I'll leave it alone. Actually, I'm going to leave it as a generic object here. And I'm going to change this duplicate here to call it a hammer. So if I want the hammer to appear in my project, I just have to go to the controller object, which is the first object here. And inside there, under the custom block that says create clones, I can tell it to create a hammer. So right now I've just got the generic object going, and the generic object, when it starts moving, when it gets its movement instructions, just is going to start moving across the screen. But I'm going to have it hit into a hammer, basically. So let's grab a clone of a hammer. There we go. So what's going to happen is this object is going to move across the screen, and it's going to hit a hammer at that point, and then the camera is going to do whatever we tell it to do. So let's just try running the program for now, and I'll just show you what that looks like. Let's click on start, and the object smacks into a hammer here. Now I have a prop in the background. I actually don't want a prop. I'm going to show you guys that again in a minute. So I'm going to get rid of the prop by going back to my hammer object. I've got a prop set up here, which is just a part of the screen that's stationary, that's not going to move around. I'm just going to disconnect this part here that says add prop so that my prop doesn't actually show up on the screen. And I'm going to do the same thing for the object. I don't want any props on the screen right now. We're going to do those later. So let's try that again. So now I should have an object flying across the screen and hitting into a hammer. So let's give that a try. Click the green flag, and you see the object moves across the screen and smacks into the hammer, and the hammer is moving across the screen too. Now we don't actually want the hammer to be moving on the screen. I'd rather have the hammer do something like swing over and smack into something else. So let's have a look at the hammer's costume. Right now the hammer is centered on the screen, so I'm going to move it to the top of the screen here so that it pivots right along the center of the object here, so that when it does move, it moves down this way. And now we can actually tell it to do something when it gets hit here. So let's go define animation, and instead of telling it to move, let's tell it to rotate. So I'm going to want it to rotate maybe 90 degrees so that it swings over. So let's go define animation, and we'll have it turn like maybe 5 degrees, and my math skills here tell me that I have to go 18 times in order to do a 90-degree turn. 5 times 18 is 90. So let's go 18 times. Now we want to set it up so that it's always positioned in the up position. So we've got an initialize function here that just says 90 degrees, and that will actually get it set straight up. So that's good. If we wanted it to be at a different angle when it started, we could set it up at a different angle right here. Okay, so when the thing gets activated now, instead of moving, it's going to turn 90 degrees, pivoting along that center point there. So let's see what that looks like now. So I'm going to click the green flag, and let's go start. The object is going to smack into the hammer, and then the hammer is going to fall down. Perfect. Okay, so let's have the hammer hit something else now. Now, my object, when it slams into the hammer, isn't really hitting it properly, right? So we're going to have to go and redefine where that hammer, where that object is hitting the hammer. We probably don't even want the object down here, so let's just start with maybe a ball or something, eh? So I'm going to go to my object here, and let's make another duplicate of it. I just want to leave the generic object here kind of pristine so that we're not messing with it. And I'm going to change the object here into a hammer. We're going to need all the code that's part of this. So we're going to this is why we're always making duplicates of these objects rather than just creating a new sprite, because we have to stick with what's here on the screen. So with the actual code that's here on the screen, I'm going to take this object, I'm going to rename it ball. There we go. And I'm going to give it a little ball sprite. So let's go and we'll choose a costume for it, and we'll do a little ball. Here, I'll pick a blue ball here. There we go. We've got a nice blue ball now. And we'll go to the controller. We'll tell it to create a clone of a ball before it does the hammer. All right, so we're creating a ball, and then that's going to smack into the hammer. Now we have to program the movement of the ball. So let's go and we'll go define animation. Now we wanted to change it to X and Y coordinates. Remember that we're not using the real coordinates because we're in a bigger expanded game world here. So what we're actually trying to do is, so I'm seeing some people over on YouTube. We've got, hi, how are you doing? Good, says hello. Hi, how are you doing? And Abe is in here as well. Hi, Abe from Ohio. He's on YouTube today because Discord's not working. Well, that's great. Abe, just follow along with us here. If you have any questions, you can type them in, and I'll give you some advice here on what to do. Okay, so we've got a Rube Goldberg device starting to move here. We have to change its X and Y coordinates to make it go across the screen, but I was just saying that we don't use the regular X, Y coordinates inside Scratch here because we're having this thing move across this gigantic screen that could be thousands of pixels across. And if we just do X, Y coordinates, things are just going to move inside this screen. We want it to move inside the bigger world, and that's why we're taking this new X and Y coordinate and implementing it here. So I want my ball, let's just have it move horizontally across the screen. We'll have it move 50 times at an X of 2. So we're just going to move straight across the screen and then smack into the hammer. Now, how does it know that it's hit the hammer? That's where this apply coordinates button comes in. I've just got this custom block here called apply coordinates. And when I click on it, if I'm clicked inside the ball, it'll basically set up my ball here at the starting position on the screen. I'm going to tell it where it's going to start on the screen. We'll just basically click where it is, maybe on the left side of where it is, so that whatever hits it, if something were to hit it, would hit it in that spot. Then the ball is going to run through its animation, and it hasn't actually moved here, eh? Let's try that again. I'm going to click the green flag, and we'll make sure I'm clicked on the ball. I'm going to click on apply coordinates. There we go. Now you see how my cursor has turned to this little green dot here? I'm trying to define where the start area of the ball's movement is. Let's click here, and then my ball will go through its movement. So it's moving that 90 or so whatever pixels across. And now I have to tell it where it's going to hit the next object. So I'm going to click on the right side of that with this red button here, just like that. There we go. And then the game resets itself. So let's make sure everything's set up inside my controller. I'm telling it to create a ball and then a hammer. So the ball's going to go from its start position to its end position, and at its end position, we're going to position that hammer. And that's what we did when we clicked on that red spot there. So let's give that a try now. And I'll click on the start button, and my ball smacks into the hammer. It looks like I didn't quite get the collision right, so I'm going to click a little bit over to the right when I set up the coordinate there. Sometimes you got to play around with these to get them working properly. So let's maximize our screen here. I'm going to click the start position of the ball, and then I'm going to click over to the right of the thing a little bit just to make sure we're positioned properly. And now let's give it a try again. I'll click the start button. Oh, it should be to the left then, I guess. I'm getting my relative coordinates wrong here. So let's try that one more time. I'll go apply coordinates. This takes a bit of trial and error to get going properly, but okay, so I'm going to click on the left-hand side of the ball, and I guess I should click on the left-hand side of the ball again. Okay, so now let's try running the machine. Start. There we go, and that actually hit the hammer that time beautifully and made it fall over, right? Now we're going to have the hammer hit into something else that's going to make something else go here, right? We should probably add some sound effects here as well. If anyone has any suggestions on something they'd like to add to this project, we're just going to build along with it. So you get the idea, right? We create an object, we code it to do something in this animation object here. We tell it to move across the screen, and we can tell it to tilt, we can tell it to change sizes, we can tell it to do a whole bunch of different stuff here. And then if we want it to do something after it's finished animating, then we can add that to this after animation. So if we wanted the ball to move backwards a little bit after the first time that it hit, we could do that as well. So maybe we should set that up there. So let's have it just go bounce backwards just a little bit. So we'll do a repeat of 10 here, and we'll have it move back -2. So now when it's finished smacking into the hammer, it's going to bounce backwards just a little bit. Let's give that a try again. the ball hits the thing and then slides backwards. Did it slide backwards? I'm not sure if I saw that. Oh yeah, it's because the camera was moving that we didn't quite see it properly. So let's tell it to move 20 times maybe, just so that the movement backward is a little more obvious. And here we go. It hits the ball, boing, and then bounces backwards. The hammer comes down, and the hammer, we're going to have it hit a cage, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a mouse object here, and the mouse is going to be in a cage, and this is where the props come in, guys. So I'm going to grab a prop here. You can see that I already have some costumes set up. You can design your own props, but right now I've got a cage here. I've got a wooden box, I've got a steel girder, I've got a ladder, and I've got a chain and a hook here. And we can use any of these things as stationary backdrops, or you can even have them moving around inside your project as well. So let's, all right. So by the way, I should probably be making a copy of this because I've just messed up this entire thing, eh? Okay. Actually, I'll just reset this project after I'm done today. So so we'll just continue working. As long as I don't destroy any of the original code, it'll all be fine. Okay, so what I want to do is have a mouse set up to be moving here when this hammer hits the cage, basically. So I'm going to set up a prop here. Let's duplicate this prop so that I don't mess it up. And the prop, we're going to call it cage. And I'm going to change its costume to look like a cage. There we go. Now I want this prop to appear on top of a mouse. So let's go take my original object. We'll duplicate that. And we're going to make this object into a mouse. So let's go grab its costumes. We'll actually rename it mouse. You want to make sure everything's named properly in here. Mouse. And now we have to load up a mouse costume. So let's go to my costumes and I'll just type in M for mouse. There's mouse 1A. And let's load up the other mouse costume as well. We're going to have our mouse actually change costumes as he moves. I'm going to go mouse 1B. Now we're just going to use a next costume to make these costumes move around. So now that I've made a copy of my mouse, I'm just going to delete all the other costumes. And that way, instead of telling it to go to costume 1 or costume 2, I'll be able to actually have it just do next costume to go to its different costumes here. Okay, so we got our mouse here. Now let's tell our mouse to do something interesting. We'll have it, so we do want to get that cage into place for it. So let's go add prop on the mouse first. And we're going to tell it to add a prop. And so I'm just going to connect this code here. And I'm going to tell it to create a clone of the cage. Right now it's going to create it exactly on top of the mouse sprite. Though if I want to move it around, I can use relative coordinates to tell it to move. You see how I have a +0 here? I could go plus or minus 0 on my X or Y to offset it a little bit. Let's have a look at this cage here now. Is my controller set up properly? No. So we're going to have to tell it to create a clone of a mouse here. There we go. And so now there should be a mouse and a cage set up on the screen here when I click the green flag. So let's give it a try. So the ball hits the hammer. Whoa! And that location is way off. Let's have a look at my mouse here and see what's going on with its X and Y coordinates. Oh, I didn't set up start and end coordinates for my mouse, and that's why. Every time you set up a new character, you've got to tell it where to start and where to end. So actually I'm going to go do an apply coordinates. Let's click the green flag. We'll do an apply coordinates. And I'm going to give it the same coordinates both times because I don't want it to move in this case. Well, not yet. I just want to see how this works here. What? It's actually moving, eh? Oh, I did tell it to move. Okay. All right, let's just leave it moving here. We'll just leave it where it is, and I'll click on the end position of it. There we go. So now, hopefully, my cage will be right on top of the spot where the mouse spawns. There we go. Well, that is cool. It is inside the cage, but the cage is in the wrong spot, and I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. So let's have a look at the code here. I'm going to try the apply coordinates one more time just in case I did that wrong. So we'll go click on the beginning spot of the object and then click on the end spot. Now click the green flag and we'll see if my cage appears in the wrong spot. It could be the end spot of the hammer that I've set up wrong. Let's go have a look at the hammer here and I'll tell it to apply coordinates. That's probably what's going on here. So I'll click the start position and then I'll click the end position. Yeah, you know what? I think I didn't do this the last time, so that's probably what messed up here. So we go, oh, there we go. And then the hammer hits there and then the mouse starts moving. Beautiful. Okay, so things are working quite nicely now. I think I should probably make the hammer a little bit bigger though. So let's make it maybe size 80. I should also take the ball and make it a different color as well because I'm finding it's really having a hard time showing up here. Let's go to the costume for the ball and we'll fill it up with a different color here, I think. Let's go make it a red ball. There we go. Though that doesn't look very realistic, does it? Let's go add a gradient to it here and we'll have it go to a darker red on the other part of the gradient. There we go. That's looking a lot more like a ball now, isn't it? We've got a little bit of a lighting effect going there. Okay, beautiful. So I've got my ball working. My hammer should be a little bigger now. It's at 80. And I think I probably have to reset the coordinates for the hammer now as well. Okay, so yeah, so let's reset the coordinates now for the hammer. We'll just go apply coordinates. I'll tell it where it's going to start. And then I'm going to click on the spot where it ends. There we go. And that should hit the cage a little bit better. Let's try it out. Click. And it hits the hammer, which gets the mouse going. Okay, let's have the mouse make a noise when it gets hit. So under define animation here for the mouse, I've already got a sound effect here no, I don't actually. So let's get a little squeaking mouse noise. I'll go choose sound, and there is actually a mouse squeak here. Or squeaks. There we go. So let's have that go off as soon as the thing gets, as the mouse gets hit. So let's go to our sounds, start sound squeaks. And I'm also going to play a bonking sound here to make this the sound that's hit. I've got a clank sound here that's already loaded up into the object. There we go. So let's play the clank sound until done. And then the guy will squeak and start moving. Let's have a look at that now. All right, let's click the green flag and start. There we go. And now things are actually starting to move here. It's quite nicely. Excellent. Okay, so what is our mouse going to do when it gets hit? Let's have a look at that. Anyone on YouTube or Discord have any ideas? You're welcome to suggest something. So we can use one of the existing sprites that's here. And let me show you the sprites again. So under object here, I've got a couple of different objects. I've got a hammer. I've got a bellows that has two different states so that it can blow air and blow something else out. I've got a boot here that is set up on the on a plank, and we can have that swing around and smack something. I've got a toaster here and some toast, and we can figure out what to do with that. And we've got a boxing glove here as well that can hit something. So if anyone has any suggestions of something they'd like me to code here, or if you want to try coding something else on your own at home, you're welcome to try that as well. So there is a way to share these objects. Once you've coded them, you can share them with each other just by copying over the, well, you could just remix the file and I could copy the sprite over, or you can save the sprite as well. So if you code a sprite, like this mouse, for example, you can copy all its code over and give it to somebody else just by going right-click, export, and then save the file, the sprite file. And then you can import the sprite back in again by going into choose a sprite and then upload. and then you can bring that sprite in. And the nice thing about doing it that way is the code actually comes over with the sprite. So all the costumes and all the attached code are actually part of our project here. Let's try and see if we can play with this toaster here. So I've got a toaster that has two different states here. Let's have a look. So I'm going to go to my object sprite here, and I'm going to make a duplicate of it again. And I'm going to call this object toaster. There we go. So let's tell it to initialize. So let's get the costumes all right here. So the costumes we want, there's this one here called toaster, and there's one called toaster 1 here. And the toaster 1 has the toast in it. Toaster 2 has the toast out of it, and then we can have the toast basically fly here. So I'm going to go to I'm going to go to toaster 1 as my first object here. And so let's go look at its code. Now, the toaster is actually going to, yeah, the toaster doesn't have to move at all. We can just have it be an object here. And that is fine. So let's go to our toaster, and we'll tell it to initialize. So we're going to tell it to point in direction 1. We don't really need a prop here, so I'll just get rid of the prop code. So we're going to have it point up, which is where we want it to be, and we want it to tell it to wear that right costume. So let's go switch costume to toaster 1. All right, switch costume to toaster 1, and then we're going to have to do the animation. So we don't want our toaster to move here. We're going to tell it to stay still, but we're going to tell it to switch costumes here. So let's tell it to wait a second or so. And actually, let's get a little tick, 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 tick sound going here as well. Now, I could go find a sound like that online, but I'm just going to record it quickly because it's a lot faster. So let's just go record. There we go. So a little kind of timer sound going off here. You can see it. There we go. That's pretty good. And we'll just call that sound tick. So let's have it play that sound until done. So under the animation here, we'll tell it to play the sound, start sound, or play sound until done, tick. And then we'll have it change costume. So we'll have it maybe play a bing sound. So let me just record a quick bing. Bing! And I'll edit that. We'll call that sound effect bing. Here we go. Flying without a net here, guys. I'm not really quite sure how this is going to work, but we're just kind of playing around today. If anyone has any suggestions, please chime in with, because this is supposed to be a cooperative venture here. So we're going to play the sound, and it's going to go bing. Let me just play that for you. All right, and when it plays the bing sound, that's when we're going to switch the costumes. Let's go switch costume to toaster, which is the one that's empty. And that is going to trigger a different event here. So we're going to trigger the toast at that point. Let's go grab our object and duplicate it again. And we'll call this new object toast. And we'll switch it over to the toast costume now. All right, so we've got to program our movement for this toaster. It's not actually going to move anywhere. So all we want to do is tell it to stick to the same location when it starts. So let's click on apply coordinates, and we'll just click on a spot on the screen here on the left. This is where it's going to get hit by the mouse. So I'll just pick the left corner here, and I'll click the same thing. You can see how that's working already. And then I'll click in the exact same spot with my red dot here, and that'll set up the end position of it. All right, so let's go back to our controller. We'll tell it, after it finishes with the mouse, we're going to tell it to create a toaster. And then we'll tell it to create toast. So let's go duplicate again, and I'll tell it to make toast. And then we'll tell the toast to fly through the air here. So we'll go to its movement commands here. Uh-oh, I hope the toaster, oh yeah, the toaster's fine. So the toast, we'll just tell it to go straight up in the air. So we'll tell it to repeat 50 times. And we're going to change Y by, actually I want it to move a little faster. So let's tell it to move 25 times at a speed of 4. You don't want anything moving too fast in this code here, because it, or too far, because then you won't be able to click on the end position if it ends up off screen. So everything has to stay on screen during its movement phase. It's always going to start in the middle and move out. You can move it to the edge of the screen, but no further than that. Okay, let's go do an apply coordinates. I'll click the green flag, click on apply coordinates here. And so the start position for this thing, we're going to have to play around with a little bit. But so I'm going to click a little bit below it because I kind of want it on the in the middle of the toaster when it gets formed here. So let's try clicking a little bit below it, and then it'll go up, and then I'll click the top of it where it's going to hit the next thing. All right, this is all very experimental, but let's give it a try here. I'll click the green flag. All right, so let's click the start button here. The ball hits the hammer, which hits the mouse. All right, so that worked quite nicely. We're going to have to move the toast over a little bit. We're going to also have to move it behind the toaster as well. So maybe I should tell the thing to move to the back. So let's go to define animation. We'll have it go to the back here. So let's go to back layer. We'll tell it to move, and after it's done, we're going to have it fall back to the ground again. So let's go tell it to repeat 25. Actually, I'm going to have it fly a little further. Let's have it go like 35 here. And then when it's done, I'm going to have it go at -4 so that it falls back down again. And when it's done falling, or actually while it's falling here, we'll have it fade away. So let's go change ghost effect by, so we're doing it 35 times. We should do it at about a rate of 3 here, and that'll make it slowly go invisible. Now we're stuck with the thing being a little bit invisible here. So at the animation at the beginning here, we're going to set ghost effect to 0 just to make sure that it's still visible here. Let's go do the apply coordinates again here. So let's click the green flag, click on apply coordinates for the toast. We'll have it start a little bit lower and then go up, and then we'll click on the top of it here. Beautiful. We wouldn't want it much higher than that because that's going to mess everything up. All right, let's give it a try. We'll probably have to tweak a few more things, but we'll at least give it a little look here. By the way, if you want the annoying sound effects and stuff to start, when you click the green flag, you can skip past all this stuff just by clicking the space key, and that will just get your program running right away if you don't want to wait. Here we go, there's our toast. There we go. So it's not quite off, and it didn't go transparent, eh? Change ghost effect by 3. So it's getting more and more transparent here. Huh. Oh, you know what? I think ghost effect doesn't work in this program because we're using the ghost effect elsewhere. There's things that are fading and appearing on the screen when they get to the edge. So we can't actually go change ghost effect here. Let's just tell it to hide when it gets down to the bottom again. Now, it's not quite centered on the thing, so let's try to reposition it here again one more time. Let's click on apply coordinates. And I'm going to tell it to, so if I click over to its right and up a little bit, I think that will position it a little further down on the screen. Let's give that a try. And then we'll set the final position for it, which is going to be at the top here. There we go. Now let's give this a try again. Hold it. Let's try that one more time. There we go. I'll click the space key and there it goes. It goes falls down, hits that. Oh, so my offset is way off on that. So where do I have to put the offset? So putting it to the bottom left didn't really work properly. Let's move it to the right hand side and just leave it close to the center here. So let's go apply coordinates one more time. Let's tell it to go off to the left here a little bit. And then we'll just position the top. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, and the toast is a little better position there now. There we go. It's not quite right though, eh? Maybe I should actually just position it more or less in the middle now that it's behind. So I'm going to just click my green thing right smack in the middle here and then click it on the top. And let's try that one more time. Click green flag. And there we go, and it flies out quite nicely. Well, it's not 100% perfect, but it's okay anyway. And we could have the toast hitting something else, for example, and then hitting something else. And the cool thing about this Rube Goldberg device is it's just going to keep going over and over and over and over and over again. Basically forever. We can keep adding sprites to this. We can have the sprites come back. It's going to remember everything that's happening here as well. So let's actually try adding a car or something here that's going to end up driving back towards the left or something here. And let me show you how we would go about doing that. So yeah, we're just going to do one more or two more things. I think we're going to wrap up. We're not going to keep this running too late here today because I'm not sure how much people are really paying attention to this, but let's give it a try. So if anyone's watching this and you're actually interested in this and want to continue doing these sessions, please let me know in the comments. And because if I only have 2 or 3 people watching this, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue it through much of the summer here. If this is something that you're interested in doing with me, I'm going to try it one more time tomorrow on Wednesday, but if I don't get at least a few people watching me, if I don't see the views pick up, then I think I'm just going to try and devote my time to other stuff, maybe creating some other content. But we're going to try it one more time tomorrow and do some other live coding, maybe create some kind of a game project or something along those lines. Okay, man, it's just me alone here, eh? I wish that some people were on Discord who could chat with me while I was building this, but let's just carry on here. So, I want my toast to hit a car. So I'm going to go duplicate my object now, duplicate. And let's call this one car. And let's go grab a car sprite to put in here. So let's go to our costumes. I'm just going to delete all the rest of these costumes. And let's load up a car. We'll do this little green convertible that I used yesterday as well. Actually, an ice cream truck or food truck might be fun, eh? So let's go food truck here. Now we're going to have to shrink that a little bit, I would imagine. Let's just show it on the screen here. It's at 40%, which is not bad. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Let's say 30%. There we go. So we have to make it facing to the left here, right? So let's go face to the left. We'll do that in the initialize. So let's tell it point in direction left. It's going to flip upside down. So let's make sure that its position is locked here so that it doesn't flip upside down. Now I want a little road for it to travel along here. So I'm going to put a steel girder here. Let's go add a prop. So I'm going to go over to my props. Let's make a duplicate of that. And in my prop here, let's change the costume to a steel girder. There we go. And that's what it can drive across. And we'll position the girder here compared to the thing. So let's go back to our car. And we'll add a prop back in here. So we'll reconnect this code to add a prop. We're going to create a clone of, it's not prop 2, let's just call this girder. All right. So we've got a girder here. It's being created every time that the car gets created, right? So create a clone of prop. Now we're gonna have to offset this a little bit, and this is where things get a little confusing again. So let's go back to our controller. I'm just gonna get rid of the rest of this stuff right now, and I'm just gonna leave the car in here so that I can see it right away. So let's create a clone of the car and see where the car is compared to this girder that it's supposed to be driving on here. So let's click the green flag. Oh, my car is moving right now, which is no good. So let's just turn off all its movement inside the car code. There we go. And I think we're going to have to apply coordinates to this car's position as well. Actually, let's tell this car to start moving across the screen. So we'll tell it to change its Y by -2 and repeat it 75 times. Okay, let's apply coordinates to that. So I'll just click on the right-hand side of it, right near the bumper. Oh, I'm not changing its Y coordinate. I want it to go across the screen. Sorry. So let's change its X coordinate. Sorry. By -2. There we go. So again, we'll click the green flag, click on apply coordinates. We'll click on the right-hand side, which is the side that's going to get hit. Then it'll move forward. Then we can click on the left-hand side, which is where it's going to hit the next thing that it's smacking into. There we go. And now we click the green flag, and there's my truck moving across the screen. Now my prop's not set up properly. It's a girder, right? So I didn't want it to be a prop. Let's go back to my car and tell it to spawn a clone of my girder. And let's have a look at that again. Green flag, space. And there's my girder. You can see that it's not in the right position right now. Let's click the green flag and I'll show you one more time. You can see it is up above here. So we're gonna have to change the Y coordinate of that girder, and let's make it a little bit bigger as well. So let's change the size to maybe 80. And we're gonna change its Y coordinate here by going back to the car, and we're going to change its Y coordinate here and make it go down the screen. So let's tell it to, I could put a minus sign in here and go Y minus something, but that's actually just add a negative number here. So I'll go Y minus 20. Plus minus 20 is the same as minus 20, basically. Let's have a look at that again. Click the green flag. I'll just whip through it. And you can see that it's still not down far enough, eh? So let's tell it to go minus 30. And try that again. So click the green flag and then hit the space key. All right, so it's looking good. It needs to be a little further down though. So let's tell it to try minus 40. Just a process of trial and error you're gonna have to learn. And we also want it to be off to the left a little bit as well. So let's change its X to like minus 20 as well, so that it starts, we don't want it starting in the middle of the girder, we want it starting on the right hand side of the girder. Let's try that again, green flag. That's good, it just needs to be a little further over, eh? So let's tell it to go minus 40 as well, maybe, on the X. And the height's not too bad. Let's just move it down just another couple of pixels, maybe minus 43. And let's see what that looks like. Oh, it's perfectly on the girder now. The girder's not long enough though. There is a quick hack to fix that. We can just change the costume of our girder around. So let's go to our girder. And I'm just going to duplicate it here. I'm going to go highlight it with my cursor. I'll go copy and then paste. And I can just keep arranging this until it looks right. There we go. So now I have a double-sized girder. Close enough anyway. And now let's click the green flag. Beautiful. So that's looking quite nice now. All right, we probably want a little sound effect here. I'm just going to do a little car sound effect. Let's record it quickly right now. You could, of course, go and find a real car sound here, but I just like making stuff on my own. I love doing homemade sound effects. So let's go. There we go. And we'll make it a little lower by slowing it down. All right, I don't like the beginning part of that sound, but the end part's okay. So I'm just going to delete the beginning. There, that kind of sounds a little bit like a truck noise. I'm going to have it fade out at the end. So let's just click on I'm just going to highlight the last part of it and go fade out. There we go. And let's have it fade in as well. We'll just do a little fade in. There we go. So let's try playing it now. There we go. Beautiful. That actually does sound a lot like a car engine here. So we're going to go define animation here, and we'll go start sound. And I think it's just called recording 1. Let's call that truck noise. There we go. Now let's test that out again. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so that's working nicely. We don't have to keep this at the beginning, though. We did want some other stuff going on. So let's go back to my controller now that I've tested this out. And we'll put all the rest of the stuff back in place again. And then we'll have the car going. So I think everything's good here with this car. Let's give it a try. So I'll click the green flag, hit space just to go into it. The ball hits the hammer. It hits the toaster. Okay, the toast didn't fly through the air, eh? Oh, I don't have my toast here. So let's duplicate it. Now I want the, so the toaster has to turn into a toast, which hits the car. There we go. Let's try that one more time. Bonk. There we go, and the toast hits the car, which makes it go. We could even have the truck fall off of a cliff here and do something fun with it there, eh? I think that's the last thing I'm going to do today. We're running out of time here, but let's just add one more thing just to make this a little more fun. So let's have the truck go a little bit farther. Actually, so I'm going to shorten this girder again. So let's go edit the girder. We'll grab our eraser here. And I just want it to basically go over the cliff here. There we go. All right, so let's go back to my car again, and we'll go back and control its animation now. So after it's done this movement, we're gonna have it turn counterclockwise. So let's go to our motion here. We'll have it turn 15 degrees counterclockwise, like 5 to 6 is 90. So let's go repeat 6 times, turn 15 degrees. So repeat 6 times. And while it's turning here, we're also going to make it start to go down. So let's go change its Y coordinate. Changes Y by 5 or something here. And then we'll just have it move a little bit further down. So we'll just go change Y by another couple here. So let's go repeat 5 times, change Y by 5, by -5, and that'll make it go down. All right, so we have to reposition this ice cream truck now to see what's going on with it. So we've got to go apply coordinates. Let's just click on apply coordinates. We'll set up its start position. It's getting hit from down below, if I remember correctly, by the toast. So let's go click on the bottom of it. Then it moves. Oh, it did not move in the right way or turn in the right way. Let's have a look at what's going on here. Change Y by -5, not 5. And why is it not turning. Let's look at that one more time. So let's go apply coordinates. We'll click underneath it. Oh, it's because I locked its position. So let's unlock its position here, right at that spot. So let's go define animation. When it's done moving, right after this spot here is where we have to unlock its rotation. So let's go set rotation style. Let's initialize it by setting the rotation style to left, right, and then we'll change the rotation style right at this point where it stops moving. We'll change the rotation style to all around, and that will let it turn. All right, let's look at this one more time. We'll go apply coordinates. And we'll click on its start position. There we go, and now it kind of rotates over and then falls down a little bit. I would like it to fall a little bit further though. So let's repeat 15 times maybe. Let's try applying coordinates one more time. Hit it from underneath here. And then we're going to tell it to hit something else when it hits the ground there. Excellent. Okay, so we got our position all set up now. Let's go back to our controller. So yeah, I think that should work fine. We should probably also do a little death sound or something for when this guy falls as well. So let's go back to the car and I'll just do a little screaming sound. Ah! There we go. Save. We'll call that sound scream. Let's go back to our code. So as it's falling here, we'll start a sound. Start sound scream. There we go. And let's give that a try. So the ball hits the hammer, falls into the cage, scares the mouse, turns on the toaster. The toast flies in the air. There we go. That didn't fly very far, did it? I thought it was going to fly farther than that. Let's try doing it like 35 or something. I do want it to fall farther than that. And because we've changed the motion, we have to apply coordinates over again. Let's click on the bottom of this thing. That's a bit too far here, but so you see how we've gotten it off the screen right now. So I can't actually apply the end coordinates on the nose of this thing anymore because it's right off the screen. And so that's a bit of a problem. I'm just going to apply it right at the top. And what I'll do is I'll just have it not go down quite as far here. So I'll go repeat 25 times. And that should get it right around the top here. Let's try clicking the green flag again. The one thing bonks into the other. There we go, and that can trigger something else that goes back in the other direction, basically. And so you can see with a little bit of effort, we can get things moving in quite an interesting direction here. We can make this thing more and more and more complicated and just keep adding clones to it. It's really quite an ingenious little mechanism here. So big credits to Andrew Tomec, my son, who coded this. I think he did a fantastic job. It's an idea that I've been kind of noodling around for quite a while. I'm very happy with the way it's going. So, any questions, any comments, anyone on YouTube? Hi, how you doing? Or Abe, do you have any thoughts on this? Would somebody like to make one of these for me? Do you feel like you've got a good handle on it now? Davey, how about you? Do you think you could make one of these? I bet you could do a fun thing here with some Nintendo sprites or something. Are you interested in making a little Rube Goldberg device for me? Do you have any questions? All right, so I'm hearing crickets here. I'm not sure if anyone is still watching. So what I'm going to suggest is if you want to make a Rube Goldberg device for me, please share it. I'm going to have a look at the remix tree for this project. And as soon as you remix it, basically, it will show up on my page here. If I go to, if I go and look at the instructions here, if one of you guys has remixed it, it should show up in the list here. If you are concerned that I'm not going to show this on the stream, though, you can always just email it to me as well. So remember, my email address is info@chromeworks.ca. So by all means, share the file and send it to me. If you make a really cool Rube Goldberg device, or even a pretty mediocre one, I am very, very happy to show it here on the stream, guys. I'm going to reset this as soon as I'm done here. I'm going to do save a copy of this file here so that anyone can look at the finished version. And I will save this finished version off, and I'll put the location of it in the file description down below. So let me just do a save as here right now, and I can actually copy that to you guys right now. So this is the Infinity Machine, we'll call this Infinity Machine Test. And I will save that to you guys if you're interested. And I'll put it into the YouTube chat as well. All right. So you guys can play around with my version of the Infinity device. I'm going to reset the original project so that all these extra sprites are gone from it as well. So I would suggest one of you guys try this out for me. If anyone wants to make a Rube Goldberg machine, I'm going to be showing a bunch of them, hopefully, if anyone makes any, on my weekend stream as well. I think we're done with the Infinity stream, the Infinity machine for now, though. Tomorrow I'm going to take one last try at live coding with you guys. I'm just going to build a project on the fly here, and hopefully you guys can help me out with it. So if you have any suggestions for what you would like me to build, please drop me a note on Discord, or you can comment on this video and make a suggestion. And we're just going to build some kind of a fun project together here. I do need some more participation, so if you're lurking off in the distance and watching this thing, please join me, particularly the Discord community here, and I'd love to do some coding with you. I'm not going to keep doing this with 2 people watching, though, so if you're interested in continuing to do this through the summer, let's see if we can get some more participation. In the meantime, I will see you guys tomorrow.